My name is Clara. I lived in a small, quiet town near the mountains. My life was simple. I worked as a librarian. I loved books. I loved the smell of old paper. My father, Mr. Thomas, died 5 years ago. He was a quiet man. He did not talk much about his past. He was a watchmaker. He repaired clocks and watches in a small shop next to our house. One cold Tuesday morning, I opened the mail. I saw a thick, old envelope. It looked very strange. The paper was yellow. The handwriting was unfamiliar. I did not recognize the address. The stamp was from a city called Silverwood, a place my father never mentioned. I sat down at the kitchen table. My hands felt nervous. I opened the envelope carefully. Inside, I found two things: a letter and a small antique key. The key was made of brass. It had a strange shape. I unfolded the letter. The paper was thin. The handwriting was my father's. My heart started to beat fast. The letter was not dated. It said, "My dearest Clara, if you are reading this, I am gone. I wrote this letter many years ago. It contains a secret. This secret was not for your mother. This secret was only for you. The key is important. It opens a special box. The box is hidden in the old workshop. Look under the big workbench. The box holds the truth about my past. I want you to find the box. I want you to know the truth. Be careful. The truth is heavy. I loved you always. Find the box. Your father." I finished reading the letter. Tears came to my eyes. My father had hidden a secret from me for my whole life. He wanted me to find it now. I stood up quickly. I put the letter and the key into my pocket. I walked out of the house. I went to the old workshop. The workshop was dusty and cold. It smelled of oil and metal. I did not go into the workshop often. Everything was exactly where Father left it. I walked to the back wall. The workbench was long and heavy. It was made of dark wood. I remembered Father working there late at night. He fixed clocks, and he drank hot tea. I knelt down on the cold floor. I looked under the bench. I saw many tools and spare parts. I moved an old rug. Under the rug, the floor was smooth cement. I tapped the floor with my hand. Most of the cement felt solid, but one small square sounded hollow. I pushed on the hollow square. It did not move. I pushed harder. It still did not move. I looked around. I found a flat metal tool. I inserted the tool into the small crack around the square. I pried the square up slowly. It was a heavy cement block. Under the block, there was a dark space, and in the dark space, there was a small wooden box. The box was old. The wood was dark brown. It had a small brass lock on the front. I took the antique key from my pocket. I put the key into the lock. It fit perfectly. I turned the key slowly. Click. The lock opened. I lifted the lid of the box. I looked inside. The box contained three things: a thick, leather-bound notebook, a small, folded map, and an old black and white photograph. I took out the photograph first. It was a picture of a young man and a young woman. The man looked exactly like my father, but he was much younger. He wore a military uniform. The woman was beautiful. She had long, dark hair. She looked serious. I did not know this woman. My mother was blonde. I put the photograph down. I picked up the map. It was drawn on heavy paper. It showed an area in the mountains, far from our town. There was a red X mark near a small lake. Finally, I opened the notebook. The pages were filled with my father's careful handwriting. The first page had a title, The Silverwood Chronicle. The first entry read, June 14th, 1968. I arrived in Silverwood today. I left my home. I left my family. I could not stay. I knew I must hide. Silverwood was small and far away. Nobody knew my real name here. I started a new life. I bought a cheap watch repair shop. I hoped the people who followed me would not find me here. I read the words again. Followed him? My father was hiding? This was not the man I knew. The man I knew was simple and safe. I closed the notebook. I felt cold again. I put the notebook, the map, and the photograph back into the box. I closed the lid and turned the key. I stood up. I looked at the dusty workshop. Everything seemed different now. The peaceful memories of my father were broken by the secret. I returned to the house. I sat on the sofa. I read the mysterious letter again. Be careful. The truth is heavy. I decided I must know the whole truth. I must read the entire Silverwood Chronicle. I must find the place on the map. But first, I wanted to understand the man in the uniform. I wanted to understand the woman in the photograph. I thought for a long time. I remembered a large, old wooden trunk in the attic. My father told me many times, "Do not open the trunk, Clara. It holds old memories." I knew I had to open it now. I walked slowly up the stairs to the attic. The attic was hot and quiet. The air was thick with dust. I saw the trunk in the corner. It was big and dark brown. It had heavy metal handles. It did not have a lock. I lifted the heavy lid. Inside, there were old blankets, Christmas decorations, and many boxes of papers. I pushed the blankets aside. Underneath, I found a small, thin wooden box. This box was different. It was light-colored. It felt expensive. I lifted the small box out. I opened it. Inside, there was a military medal. It was gold and silver. It had the name of an army, a foreign army. And next to the medal, there was a small stack of letters tied with a red ribbon. The letters were written in a different language. I did not speak that language, but the letters were addressed to my father, and the return address was that city, Silverwood. I took the letters and the medal. I went back downstairs. I sat at the kitchen table again. I felt like an explorer who found a hidden map. I knew I needed a translator. I knew I needed answers. The mystery was getting bigger. My quiet life was changing fast. I looked at the calendar. It was Wednesday tomorrow. I made a decision. I would take 3 days off work tomorrow. I would travel to the big city. I would find a translator. I wanted to find the truth before I read the rest of the Silverwood Chronicle. I wanted to understand the beginning of the secret. I packed a small bag. I put the photograph, the medal, the letters, and the map safely inside. I went to bed, but I did not sleep well. My mind was racing. The simple past tense helped me remember my father was a watchmaker, but he was also a soldier with a secret.
The next morning, I woke up early. I felt a mixture of fear and excitement. I made a strong cup of coffee. I ate a quick breakfast. I did not tell my mother about the mysterious letter or the hidden box. I knew she would worry too much. I told my mother I needed to go to the city for a big librarian conference. She believed me. I took the small, carefully packed bag. Inside were the strange brass key, the map, the old photograph, the military medal, and the letters tied with the red ribbon. I said goodbye to my mother. I walked to the bus station. The bus journey was long. It took 5 hours to reach the big city. The city was noisy and crowded. I felt very small and out of place. I did not like the rush. First, I needed to find a place to stay. I checked into a small, old hotel near the central station. The room was plain. It had a bed, a small window, and a very old television. I did not waste any time. I took the letters and the medal. I went down to the street. I walked until I found a large university. I knew universities had many language departments. I found the Department of Linguistics. I went inside. I walked through long, quiet hallways. I saw many posters for different language classes. I needed to find a specific language expert. The language on the letters was Eastern European. I met a kind woman at the main office. She was the secretary. I explained my problem. I showed her the letters in the metal. The secretary looked at the letters carefully. "This is Crovian," she said. "It is a difficult language. Not many people speak it here. But Professor Volkov is the best expert. He taught Crovian history." She told me Professor Volkov worked in the history department now. She gave me directions to his office. I found Professor Volkov's office. The door was open. He was an old man with thick glasses and white hair. He sat at his desk, surrounded by huge stacks of books. I knocked softly. "Excuse me, Professor. My name is Clara Thomas. I need your help with a translation." Professor Volkov invited me in. He offered me a chair. I told him a short version of my story. My father died, and I found mysterious letters. I did not mention the secret box or the hiding. I handed him the stack of letters and the military medal. The professor took the medal. He looked at it closely. His hand shook a little. "This is very rare," he whispered. "This medal is from the Crovian Resistance Army. They were the secret group that fought the old government in the late 1960s. This specific medal was given only to top field leaders." He looked up at me. "Your father was a soldier? A leader?" I felt a rush of shock. "He was a watchmaker, sir. He never spoke about the war or the military." The professor nodded. He understood. He took the letters. He read the first one slowly. He translated it out loud for me. The letter was written in 1969. It was a desperate message. "Thomas, you left too quickly. The committee found the maps. They are looking for you. They think you have the gold. The gold is the key to our survival. A is safe. I sent him to Silverwood. Do not return. We will wait for your signal. Your safety is everything. Signed, A." I listened to every single word. My father was involved in a secret army. He left his family to hide. He had a secret called the Gold, and someone called A was the person who wrote the letter. "Who is A?" I asked. The professor shrugged. "I do not know, but this is historical evidence. This letter suggests your father was part of a significant, dangerous political movement." I thanked Professor Volkov many times. I paid him for his time. I promised to keep the details of the letter secret. He told me to be careful. I walked out of the university. The noise of the city was loud again. I felt different. My simple father was a hero, a soldier, and a fugitive. I went back to the hotel room. I sat on the edge of the bed. I took out the old photograph again. The young woman was beautiful. The young man was my father in his uniform. I remembered the letter. I sent him to Silverwood. A is safe. Wait, the letter was signed A, but it said I sent him to Silverwood. That did not make sense. I looked at the photograph again. The woman had a strong, serious face. My father looked proud next to her. I looked at the signature on the letter, A. I had a sudden, clear idea. Maybe A was the woman. Maybe the letter was written by the woman, and maybe the man she sent to Silverwood was not my father. But the letters were addressed to my father. I pushed the photograph and the letters aside. I opened my bag. I took out the leather-bound notebook, the Silverwood Chronicle. I decided I needed to read the first few entries to understand the man in the uniform. I read the second entry. August 2nd, 1968. Silverwood is quiet. Too quiet. I found the small watch shop. It was perfect. It was far from the train lines. I started work. Nobody asked questions. I felt safe. I bought new clothes. I cut my hair. I changed my name. I took the name Thomas. The man who helped me, Mr. Brown, said it was the most common name. Common was safe. He changed his name. My whole life was a lie. My father's name was not Thomas. I read the next entry. November 10th, 1969. I received a letter today. It came from my old unit. The letter said that A was still fighting. The letter said that they were waiting for the gold. They believed I had it. I did not have the gold. The gold was with the others. I felt afraid. I knew I must disappear again. But I met a girl named Sarah. She was beautiful. She was kind. She did not ask about my past. I started to love her. I could not leave her. Sarah was my mother's name. I felt happy that he loved my mother, but I felt confused. He was a fugitive. He lied to my mother about his name. I read the final entry for the day. March 5th, 1971. The committee found my location. They knew where I was. They sent a message. They told me to return the gold. I told them I did not have it. They said they would hurt Sarah. I had to run. I had to leave Silverwood immediately. I wrote a letter to explain the gold to Sarah, but I did not send it. I knew it was too dangerous. I decided I must hide the box for Clara, for the future. I left Sarah a simple note. I told her I would return. I packed a small bag. I left Silverwood at midnight. I drove for 2 days until I found this small, quiet town near the mountains. I took a different name, Robert. I started my life again. My father was not Thomas. He was not Robert. He was a soldier with a secret name, and he left my mother. He came back later, but he left her alone in Silverwood. The mystery was getting heavier. The letters were from Silverwood. The notebook said he left Silverwood. Who was he, and why did he come back to my mother later? I needed to read the rest of the Silverwood Chronicle to understand the time between 1971 and when he returned to my mother. I took a deep breath. I felt I was ready to read the next part of the story.
I closed the notebook. I felt overwhelmed by the secrets my father kept. He was a soldier, a fugitive, a man who changed his name, and a father who left my mother, Sarah. I needed to read the rest of the Silverwood Chronicle. But first, I needed to find the town where everything began. I took out the old folded map. It showed a route from the city of Silverwood to a remote mountain village. The name on the map was the High Pass. The red X marked a small, isolated lake high in the mountains. I decided to go to the High Pass immediately. The truth was not in the notebook. The truth was at the end of the map. I checked out of the hotel. I took a taxi to the bus station. The journey to the mountains was long and difficult. I rode one large bus, and then I rode a small, old local bus. The local bus climbed slowly up a narrow, winding road. The landscape changed. The flat plains turned into steep hills. The air became thin and cold. I looked out the window.
I saw dark forests and huge, jagged rock formations. After many hours, the bus stopped in a tiny, forgotten village. This was the High Pass. The village was quiet. It had one general store, one small church, and about 20 houses. The people looked hardy and reserved. They stared at me. I was clearly a stranger. I went into the general store. The store smelled of wood smoke and coffee. A kind, elderly woman stood behind the counter. "Good afternoon," I said. "I am looking for information. I am trying to find a place near a lake high in the mountains." The woman looked at me closely. She had sad eyes. "The only lake is Lake Serenity, but it is far. You must hike for a full day. There is nothing there but old mining trails." I showed her the map. "This lake," I said, pointing to the red X. The woman's eyes widened. She looked nervous. "That map is very old. That area is dangerous. No one goes there now. There was an old cabin there, but it burned down many years ago." "A cabin?" I asked. "Who lived in the cabin?" She shook her head firmly. "I do not know. It was a long time ago. I cannot help you, child. Please be careful." She refused to talk about the lake anymore. I thanked her. I bought some water and a flashlight. I knew I had to go to the lake, even if the woman said it was dangerous. I found a small dirt trail behind the church. It led into the dark woods. I checked my map one last time. This was the path. I walked for hours. The path was steep and rocky. The forest was silent. My legs started to feel tired. I drank some water. As the sun began to set, I came to a large open meadow, and in the distance, I saw the lake. It was dark and still. It looked mysterious. I knew I could not continue hiking in the dark. I looked for a safe place to rest. I found a large, dry rock sheltered by 2 thick pine trees. I sat down. I took out the old notebook, the Silverwood Chronicle, again. I knew I must read the final entries to understand what happened after my father left my mother in 1971. I opened the notebook to the next entry. April 1st, 1971. I arrived here at the High Pass. I found the old abandoned cabin near Lake Serenity. It was completely isolated. Nobody found me here. I took the name Robert. I thought about Sarah every day. I missed her terribly. I wrote her letters, but I never sent them. I knew she was safer if she thought I was gone forever. I felt pity for him. He loved my mother, but he left her to protect her from the committee. I read on. October 20th, 1973. I received a shock today. A man came to the cabin. He said his name was David. He was from the resistance. He told me the committee was defeated. The old government fell. I was finally safe. But the best news? David said Sarah was still in Silverwood. She did not marry anyone else. She waited for me. He told me my name was safe again. I cried that night. I knew I could go back. The committee was defeated. My father was free. December 24th, 1973. I left the cabin today.
I burned all my old soldier clothes. I made a decision to return to Sarah and start a normal life. I promised myself I would never talk about the gold, the metal, or the war. I wanted to be a simple watchmaker. Before I left, I hid this box under the floor. I knew I might need the truth one day, especially for Clara. The gold was not with me. I needed to protect the map and the knowledge. The notebook ended there. The mystery was solved. My father came back to my mother and lived a life of quiet peace, but he kept the secret to protect her and his secret. But one big question remained: the gold. I looked at the map again. The red X was at the lake. The letter said, "The gold is the key to our survival." And the map had an X right here. I knew I must reach the cabin site near the lake. I stood up. The darkness was coming fast. I looked across the meadow toward the dark water of Lake Serenity. I pulled out my flashlight. I was tired, but I felt a new strength. My father's story was not just a secret, it was an adventure. I walked toward the lake. The ground was wet with dew. The air smelled of pine needles. The walk took 30 minutes. I arrived at the shore of the lake. It was completely quiet. I turned on my flashlight. I swept the beam along the shore. Then I saw it. A blackened area where fire destroyed the trees. And in the center, I saw the stone foundation of the old cabin. I walked onto the foundation. The stones were covered in moss. I walked carefully. My flashlight beam moved across the stones. I found a small, square space that was completely empty. It was the hearth, the fireplace of the cabin. I remembered the letter. The gold is the key to our survival, and the map had an X right here. I knelt down in the old hearth. I pushed the loose stones aside. Under the stones, the ground was cold dirt. I dug with my hands. The dirt was soft. After a few minutes, my fingers hit something hard. It was not wood or stone. It was cold metal. I dug faster. I pulled the object out of the ground. It was a small, heavy metal box. It was old and rusted, but it was intact. This was the gold, the final secret. I sat down next to the hole I dug. My heart was pounding. I looked at the heavy box. It had no lock. It had a simple metal clasp. I unlatched the clasp. I lifted the heavy lid slowly. I shone the flashlight inside. The box did not contain gold bars. It did not contain jewels. It contained hundreds of small, tightly rolled pieces of paper. They were old blueprints and hand-drawn maps of machinery. And on the top of the papers was a simple, small gold wedding ring. I took out the ring. It was plain and beautiful. Then I picked up one of the blueprints. It was drawn by hand.
The title was written in English, "The Future of Time, Self-Regulating Clockwork." The gold was not money. The gold was his secret invention, his ideas, the blueprints for the invention that could change the watchmaking industry. This was the key to his unit's survival, not financial wealth. He hid the blueprints because the old government wanted the technology. I put the ring on my finger. It fit perfectly. I looked back at the cabin ruins. My father hid his identity to protect his wife and his revolutionary invention. He was a soldier of the resistance, but his true fight was for his mind and his family. I packed the metal box full of blueprints and the gold ring. I started the long walk back to the high pass. The secret was not heavy. It was a legacy. The journey was over and the mystery was solved. I would return home and tell my mother the truth. I would fulfill my father's true purpose, to share his ideas with the world. That was the incredible story of Clara and the mysterious letter. We used the simple past tense many times in this story. Can you list 3 actions Clara took after she arrived at the mountain village? Write your answers in the comments below. If this story helped you practice the simple past tense, please like the video to support Star's Fin. And to make sure you never miss a new long story for listening practice, subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell. Thank you for learning English with us.